You are a magnificent beast.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
I guess you want my number?
Wow, yeah.
Whose number was that? Sierra Burgess's?
I met a guy. We texted. He definitely thinks that I'm someone else.
It's called catfishing, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal.
Would you want to go on a date with me?
Yeah.
You need to tell him the truth.
They're my words. He's falling for me.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Breaker, and in today's video I'm gonna show you how to set up OBS Studio in order to get the best possible streaming quality on Twitch. In the Video tab, you have Base and Output Resolution. Now, Base Resolution represents your current monitor, so I'm using a 1080p monitor, and Output Resolution what the viewers on Twitch are actually gonna see. And you should always do the downscaling here, guys. Don't do it later in the Output tab, because here we're gonna use the GPU and not the CPU, which is just a lot better because you have more performance for the games that you're playing. So if you want to do any downscaling, obviously you can just set this to 1080 here, then you should do it here. And I would actually recommend you to do a bit of downscaling. Don't do 720 decent upload. I would one here, the 1440 x 810. Use the best possible downscaling filter because that just gives base and out. Now let's talk about the output settings, and this is probably what most of you guys are really interested in this video. So what you want to do is you want to choose the advanced output mode because we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the details in this section here. You want to work in the streaming tab, use the first audio track, and if you followed my previous tutorial on how to set up your audio, you know that we have set all of the audio to go into the first audio track. If you haven't seen this video, I'm linking it in the top right corner right now. Now let's talk about the encoder mode. And basically, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you have two options here. The first is X264, which basically means that all of the encoding is done on the CPU. And the other one is NVENC, which means that all of the encoding is done on the GPU. Now ideally you want to have the least amount of lag on your system while you're gaming and streaming at the same time. And this is usually always the case if you're using the GPU for encoding, because your CPU is usually already very heavily used up by the current game that you're playing. But unfortunately you have to speed as well, because the NVENC codec does not really do such a good job at encoding high quality footage. So this really depends on the upload speed that you have found out using the Twitch bandwidth tester. If for instance you only have something like 5000 kilobits per second here, then you're gonna have to go down with the bitrate a lot. And I've actually tried this out with various different limitations on the upload speed, and what I found was that a good rule of thumb really is
Drink Wilkins Pure every day, because the food you eat may leave toxins in your body. Cleanse with...
In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your live streams look awesome, and we're starting right now. What is going on? My name is Nick. Welcome to another video. First time here and you want to learn how to grow your channel, make videos, and all types of other YouTube related stuff, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. You're gonna love this. I'm not gonna waste any time. Let's go to the computer. Okay, so now that we're at the computer, I'm going to show you how to take a boring looking scene like this and make it into something like this where you can have chat on it, to where you can do like video transitions and things like that. You can also do it to where you add tickers, to where you have like a little sidebar to where you're doing like a split screen, and you can transfer everything back and forth. Super easy, and it can be cool with the transitions as well. Of course, you wouldn't want to use transitions as heavy as I just did, but I'm just showing you the example of what it is that I'm going to be showing you. So the first thing that we need to do in order to gain selection or scene collection, select new, and that's going to blank everything out. As soon as I do this, it's going to remove my webcam. So I'm going to add that in as well and show you how to do that also. So for this, I'm just going to call this TB demo. And as you can see, it took away my webcam, so I'm going to go ahead and add that by adding a capture device. And I'm just going to call that webcam. And that will get us taken care of there. Now, as you can see, when it first came on, it's really zoomed in and blown up. And on yours, if you see it and it comes in like this, all you have to do to fix that is you just change the resolution down here to custom frame size that you're going to be going out, 1920 by 1080. And then I hit OK. And then as you can see, it brings everything, you know, to the normal ratio. So once I have that in place, this is going to be my blank starting point. So once I have that in place, I'm going to go down to my scenes down here in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, and I'm going to choose rename. And then for this one, I'm just going to change this to main plane. And then that tells me anytime I click on this, anytime I transition to this, no matter what, it's just going to be a plain thing that's happening, just me right here on the screen. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to build onto this. So I'm going to duplicate it here. I'm going to right click on main plane and I'm going to hit duplicate. And then I'm going to do main with a ticker. And then what that gives me the ability to do is add additional sources over here. So I have one scene here that nothing else is going to be on. And then this one here is going to be all of the ticker graphics to make the actual ticker that goes along the bottom of the screen. So here I'm going to click plus. I'm going to go to image. I'm going to do ticker B, and when I do that, its file is, so here I'm going to click on ticker BG, hit OK, and then there you can see this graphic that is now showing up at the bottom of my screen. Now, how this is going to work is it's going to be this graphic, and then I'm going to have a layer of text, and then after that layer of text, then I'm going to have a covering graphic as well. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit plus, and then I'm going to add that covering graphic right now. So I'm going to do ticker top. And I'm going to grab this. Now, as you can see right here, when I pull this in, if you look at this little area right here, you can see it's along the bottom parent. Okay, so basically what's happening here is this is going to allow the text to show up, to appear behind this, and then disappear into this side as well while keeping the TubeBuddy logo in there. So I'm going to hit OK. Now with this, just so you know what's going on, is all of this stuff that I'm showing you right now, I actually built this for TubeBuddy for the stream that I do there. How this is going learn even more YouTube stuff, I'm going to select a different font. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to click OK on this as well. Once I have that in place, then I can grab the text and I can bring it down. Now, as you can see, it's really small right now. So on a mobile device, this would be pretty much impossible to read. So I'm going to start moving it. And as you can see, that's going to scale that text up and make it a little bit bigger and a little bit nice, neat, and clean. So what I'm going to do now is I need to make that text move. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to filters. Here, I'm going to click on the plus sign and then I'm going to click on scroll. And then here, I want to show you this real quick. Let me move this over to here. So you can see the text is going to make it really fast to where, people are reading it really fast and all that. Or I can slow it down, make it something a little bit more reasonable. In this case, I'm going to go with like a 31. That's fine. So it's still coming along. It's still moving along so much that it's ridiculously distracting. So once I have that speed, I'm going to hit close. And then as you can see, the ticker is going to be flowing along there nicely during any time that I want that to show. So now we have two scenes. We have the main plane, and then we have the main ticker, okay? So the next thing that we want to do is we're going to duplicate that main plane again, and I'm going to call this one chat. Cam with chat, okay? Now with this one, we're going to do that same exact thing. We're going to go to the plus, and I'm going to add an image here, and this is going to be, I'm just going to call this one background because there's not a lot that's going to be happening in this scene. So I'm going to find that, and then I'm going to bring it in. Now, as you can see right here, the area that I have right here, it's already taken away. So I saved this image here out of Photoshop as a transparent PNG. Okay, so basically I removed the background layer so that I could... Another option that I would have, the same graphic, but actually put a square on the screen in this area and then grab my picture or my video image there and scale it down and try to fine-tune it, place in the right size. Instead, is I'm going to lock this background, so I'm not clicking on it. I'm going to click on the webcam, and then now you can see when I move this, because I have that area transparent, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can just move it in, kind of scoot it into place, and then fine-tune it a little bit with my arrow keys, and then there we go. I don't have to spend a ton of time sitting there trying to make everything match up. And in addition to a drop shadow over here to kind of give it a little bit of an additional look, so to speak. Now, the next thing that we want to do is something that I get asked about a ton, and that is showing the chat on the screen, because we have to see the live chat for this particular. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring my live streaming page over, and I'm going to show you how to do this. When you go to your live streaming page on YouTube, you click here, and then you click on Pop Out Chat. When you do that, they're going to give you a URL up here at the top. And after you close that, you can actually just pay or close the window or whatever, and it's okay because you have that URL. That's all that you need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to plus in my scenes, or in my sources, actually. I'm going to go down to plus. I'm going to choose browser source. Here I'm going to make this chat as the identifier. And then you can see here, there's already a URL here going to OBS project. And I'm going to override that with my YouTube chat, okay? That URL that I just got. Now, because I've already built this for, the thing that I'm doing with TubeBuddy, so I've already built this, I already know that the width of this is going to be way too big. So I'm going to take the width of this down to 520. And I'm going to take the height to, let's say, let's do 890, okay? From there, I'm going to hit OK. And then you'll see the chat is now popping up on the screen. I just grab that, and I bring it over here and get it into place, okay? I could leave it like this, and it would be perfectly okay. I mean, if it just looks like this and you have the white on there, it's fine. But if you look at this from a design standpoint, I have all of these dark elements. I'm wanting people to focus on the TubeBuddy logo down there, which, by the way, if you don't have TubeBuddy installed yet, I've got a link to that in the description. But I want to draw people's attention to the TubeBuddy logo, and I want them looking at my screen. I want them looking at the chat as well, but I don't want them to be overwhelmed and distracted by what's going on in the chat. So what I have to do for that is I have to put in a CSS code, which I have in a notepad here, and I'll actually put this as a resource link down in the description below. But I have some CSS code that I'm going to drop into this chat option right here. So I'm going to right-click on chat, and I'm going to hit properties in the CSS area right here to paste in all of this code right here. And again, I'm going to have a resource link to this down in the description, so you'll be able to get this same exact code down in that description if you want this. And then I'm going to hit OK, and then you'll see that it made my text bigger, and it also took away that background, so now it's not as distracting. It's still distracting, especially when it's all moving around, but it's not as distracting. So what we've done there is now we have this chat area so that people that are watching can see their chat come up on the screen, right? So I'm just going to click on something there, and then that fills that box out, and you can see right there, as you can see, you know, can you see this that I put down there? It completely fills that box out and makes everything look nice and clear. Now, to be picky, I would want to scoot this down here just a tad, because that's a little bit too tight up there at the top for me. So I would bring it down to something like that, maybe bring up the bottom a little bit, but you can fine tune yours when you're making your graphics for your live stream. So now we have 3 chats. Now we have 3 scenes, in here. We have the main plane, we have the main ticker, and then we also have this, which is our cam. We're starting to create, you know, a nice production here, right? Like, this is looking really professional. It's looking great. Everything is nice and organized, you know, real easy to follow what's going on. And a really awesome thing about this is down here in the sources part, you don't have just a humongous pile of stuff down there, right? You can just switch it as you need it instead of having a bunch of things that you have to sort through in order to make these same things happen. And you don't have to drag things around all the time and resize the frame and all of that. So this makes it so much easier. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the main plane again. And this one is going to be split screen. Now, this comes in really cool if you are a gamer or if you are a business owner and you want to have a screen, and then you also want to have the side over here to where you can have like your social media information, or you can have like a product that you're talking about, or you can have bullet points of what it is that you're talking about while keeping. This part is really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I created that split screen scene, and as you can see in the sources here, the only thing again that we're starting with is just the webcam by itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the image that I made. And then with this, you can see I'm kind of, you know, covered up there or whatever, but the graphic over here is where you would put, there we go, is where you would put the, you know, any additional information that you have. But what you would do in this case with the webcam is I'm going to lock that. And then with the webcam, I can just take this, drag it over, just like this. And then there we go, I'm nice and centered. So let's say that I'm talking here in the main plane here, and then I want to say something about, you know, whatever it is that I'm talking about, then I would click on this, and you can set this up. You can set up a bunch of these, so you can just rotate through them as you're talking about things, or when you want to, you can go to the cam chat and things like that. So now that we have this in place, I'm going to level this whole thing, really make it pro. I'm sure you've seen the news where, you know, they're talking about something and then they transition into something else, and then they have like a logo or some type of graphic that comes up on the screen to actually make that transition to happen and make it kind of smooth and pro looking. Well, that's what we're going to do. So to click on over here, and that's going to split the screen. So if you're not familiar with OBS right now, if you're not familiar with OBS yet, basically how this works is over on this side of the screen, the one that has the ticker on it right now, this side of the screen is basically a staging area, and then the other side of the screen where we have the split screen, that is actually what would be live that your viewers would be seeing right now. So if you're recording something in OBS, or if you're actually streaming in OBS, the one over on the right where the split screen is right now, that is your actual live area. That's what's actually being streamed or recorded. And over on your left, that is your staging area where you actually build everything and you get it ready to go over now. So if you're recording something in OBS, or if you're actually streaming in OBS, the one over on the right where the split screen is right now, that is your actual live area. I'm going to hit plus, like Stinger. Now here I'm going to do icon transition. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to give. I'm going to leave these on the. If you are wanting to hear the transition, if you have audio in yours like I do with mine, and you're wanting to actually hear that transition, what you would do is you would just click on this, and then you would go down to monitor only with mute output. Okay, and then as you're playing it, if you're doing your stream, you have headphones. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add in, and you want to be up listening to what's going on, then that gives you the ability to do it. So I'm going to hit OK. Now this is where this gets cool. I'm going to go up here to the quick transition. I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to hit icon transition, and then now that icon transition's in there. So how this works, let's say that I want to transition from this split screen over here to the ticker. So here I'm going to go over the scene transitions, and I'm going to hit plus, and then I'm going to select Stinger. That version that's over here, then I transition, and then it does that for me while still keeping everything looking cool for the viewers. So basically, instead of making it a hard cut like this every time that I do the transition or a fade, then I can hit that icon transition and actually take it to a different segment. So that's really cool, where you can say, okay, well, okay, it's going to give me the option to go find it. I'm going to go find it. It's called the TB icon. Me in between segments, you can set up different graphics that you change, you know, for each thing in between each different segment produce. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this up another notch, and we're going to add another option here to slide. And I'm just going to call this one down. You can do up, down, left, or right. And then here I'm just going to make this down. And you can also add these up here as well to the quick transitions. Any quick transitions that you want, you can add. I'll leave these on the default, but if you to hear the transition, if you have audio in yours like I do with mine, and you're wanting to actually hear that transition, what you would do is you would just click on this, and then you would go down to monitor. But now if I want to transition in between something like that, and then it will take me, you know, into anything it is that I'm wanting it to take me into. But if you really want to do this in like a really cool way, what you can do when that's selected is I do a down transition, okay? If I double click these now, it's going to automatically just send it over, and it's going to send it over with that down transition. Just fades it all around. Same thing happens if I want to do the icon transition. So let's say that I'm sitting here and I'm talking about something for a while, and then I want to take it back to the plane. Then I can click on that, and then it'll take me back to the plane, and then I'm ready to go in terms of making everything look awesome. So the same thing applies if I want to go to the split screen. Then I click on that, and then it makes that really cool transition to really pro everything up quite a bit. Now, in addition to that, if you really want to make this stuff even cooler and make it easier for yourself, there's something called the Elgato Stream Deck. I'll put a link to it down in the description, and it's basically a live switcher. It's really low cost, and we actually use it in our studio that I do my Nimin live show on every Saturday, and I actually have one right here at home as well. And basically how that works is you can program the buttons, and you can assign anything it is that you want to happen. You can assign it to these buttons, and you can just press the buttons without having to actually click anything inside of OBS itself. If you want to learn more about growing your channel, making videos, and all types of other YouTube related, I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to hit, and then now that icon transitions in there. So how this works, let's say that I want to transition from this split screen over here to the ticker version transition, and then it does while still keeping everything looking cool for the viewers. So basically, instead of making it a hard cut like this, then I can hit that icon and actually take it to a different segment. So that's really cool, where you can say, okay, well, I want to use this to transition me in between segments. You can set up different graphics that you change, you know, for each thing in between each different segment that you're trying to produce. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this up another notch, and we're going to add another option here to slide. And I'm just going to call this one down. You can do up, down, left, down. And you can also add these up here as well to the quick transitions. Any quick transitions that you want, you can add them up here. This is especially handy for graphics. But now if I want to transition in between something, I can just hit down like that, and then it will take me, you know, into anything it is that I'm wanting it to take me into. But if you really want to do this in like a really cool way, what you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you something. You're going to see this option right here, transition to scene when double clicked, okay? I have that selected, and I'm going to show you why. The reason that's selected is because, let's say that I do a down transition, okay? It automatically just send it over, and it's going to send it over with that down transition. Fades it all around. And the same thing happens if I want to do the icon transition. So let's say that I'm sitting here and I'm talking about something for a while, and then I want to take it back, and then it'll take me back to the plane, ready to go in terms of making everything look awesome. So the same thing applies if I want to go to the split screen. Then I click on that, and then it makes that really cool transition to really pro everything up quite a bit. Now, in addition to that, if you really want to make this stuff even cooler and make it easier for yourself, there's something called the Elgato Stream Deck. I'll put a link to it down in the description, and it's basically a live switcher. It's really low cost, and we actually use it in our studio that I do my Nimin live show on every Saturday. And I actually have one right here at home as well. And basically how that works is you can program the buttons, and you can assign anything it is that you want to happen, you can assign it to these buttons, and you can just press the buttons without having to actually click anything inside of OBS itself. If you want to learn more about growing your channel, making videos, and all types of other YouTube related stuff, start now by hitting the round subscribe icon so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.